Hello and welcome back to Planet 40k. In today's video we're going to be reviewing the Centurion Assault Squad from the Space Marine Codex. If you would like to help the channel grow, check out our members area, which is the Planet 40k troops. We've got our own emojis as well as loyalty badges for each month that progresses. As for the shout out of today, it's going to go to Mage Aramil. Unfortunately they wanted the Impulsor to win the poll that we did recently, but it was the Vanguard Veterans that actually won that one. And as for a more recent poll, the Centurion Assault Squad won it with 40% of the vote. So that's what we're doing today. So keep your eyes out on those flash polls. They're going to happen every now and then, probably about 3 times a week. So check out your subs boxes or your homepage, or you can go to the Planet 40k YouTube channel and click the community tab to find all the latest polls. So the Centurion Assault Squad. Now we've already covered the Centurion Devastator Squad, so this is the Assault version. They're from the Elite section of the Codex. They're 9 power level or 55 points per model, and you can take units of up to 6 of them. As for the keywords of note, they're a Centurion and they're an infantry, so there is no core keyword here, and they're obviously not Primaris either, so the firstborn infantry models. As for the datasheet, movement of 5 inches, weapon skill 3+, ballistic skill 3+, strength 5, toughness 5, wounds 4, attacks 3, leadership 7 and a 2+ save, the sergeant getting an additional attack and an extra point in leadership. So in terms of abilities, Angels of Death, all the standard stuff there, but just note in the bolter discipline area, they can't just remain stationary and get the full range for the rapid fire with bolt weapons because it excludes Centurion models, but they still can rapid fire at half range. They've also got combat squad, so you can take a unit of 6 of them, split them into 2 units of 3. The sergeant will be in one of those units, so it gives you a bit of flexibility in your deployment. And also note that the sergeant's got the omniscope, so that unit in particular that has the sergeant does not receive any benefits of cover against the attack. So that's only the sergeant's unit if you do combat squad it. Looking at the Wargear, every model is equipped with 2 flamers, siege drills, and then the Centurion assault launchers. So the 2 flamers, a 12-inch range, assault d6, strength 4, no AP, 1 damage, and you auto hit with the weapon. Now it's worth noting that with assault weapons, you can advance. It normally would be a -1 to hit, but as you auto hit, you're effectively advancing for free and still shooting the weapon. And if you've got a min unit of 3 of these guys, that's going to be 6 flamers, so 6 lots of d6 auto hitting shots. That's going to do a lot of work on infantry models. And when you're in the tactical doctrine for the flamers, it's going to be a -1 AP, which is going to help as well. As for the siege drills, it's their melee weapon. It's strength times 2, making it strength 10, -4 AP, and the damage is 3. It will go to -5 AP in the assault doctrine. It probably won't matter too much there. Now I've displayed here the average damage from a min unit of 3 versus toughness 4 power armor. So they're going to get 10 shots because they've got 3 attacks each, and the sergeant gets an additional attack that makes 10. So on average you're going to get 6.7 hits, causing 5.6 wounds, which will also go through armor. So the total damage has been 16.7, but obviously power armor models only have 2 wounds each, so it's going to be 5 dead models there. That's of course with averages. If you were to go against Terminators, which are still toughness 4, but they've now got 3 wounds and an in-1 save of a 5+, this is how it changes. So the same amount of shots, same amount of hits, same amount of wounds. Now the unsaved wounds goes down to 3.7 due to that in-1 save. They've been removing 3 Terminators as opposed to 5, which is still pretty good because Terminators are around 30 to 40 points a model. Then they've got the Centurion assault launchers. So this actually gives them a keyword, which is the assault launcher keyword. It's going to relate to a stratagem. I'll go through it now, but I'll recap it again in the stratagem section later in the video. It's 1 command point. Using the start of the charge phase, you select an assault launcher's unit, such as these, and then you select an enemy unit, which is not a vehicle or a monster, within 9 inches of the unit. The enemy unit then has the option of bracing or ducking for cover. So if they brace, they instantly suffer D3 mortal wounds, and if they duck for cover, then until the end of the turn you subtract 1 from the attacks characteristics of the model in the unit, and the unit cannot fire, overwatch or set to defend. So it's kind of situational there, especially if they duck for cover. They might just eat the mortal wounds, but either way you only need 1 model within the unit to actually keep this, because there are upgrade options which we'll go over now. So the upgrade options are any number of models can have their 2 flamers replaced with 2 melter guns, and the other option is any number of models can have their Centurion assault launcher replaced with 1 hurricane bolter. So let's talk about the melters first. So you get 2 melters each. Got the same range as the flamer, 12-inch range. This time it's assault 1. Strength 8, -4 AP, and the damage is D6. And if you fire within 6 inches, it's going to be D6 plus 2 damage. A min unit of these is going to have 6 shots. Again, you could advance them, but it will be a -1 to hit this time. It's not auto hitting like the flamers. But with those 6 shots, you should be hitting 4 of them, and very likely wounded on 2s, or maybe 3s at the heavier stuff. -4 AP, which goes to -5 AP in the tactical doctrine, then net damage could either be d6 or d6 plus 2. Not too bad on the damage front, is a little bit unreliable. You do have command rerolls at your disposal if you need to. As for the Hurricane Bolters, the 24-inch range, rapid fire 6, strength 4, no AP 1 damage. So you're swapping out the assault launchers for these. These are going to cost you 10 points. Again, as mentioned already with the bolter discipline, you do have to get within 12 inches to use the actual rapid fire ability. But if you do so, that'll be 12 shots per model coming in. That's 36 shots on a min unit. Strength 4, no AP or -1 AP in the tactical doctrine, and only 1 damage. So really this is dealing with infantry models, but it also could go against elite because of the sheer amount of shots you're taking. This weapon also gives you a bit of flexibility because of the range itself. You can stay a little bit back with them. Maybe you want to stay on an objective or just hold some ground. So it gives you that option if you want it. Going into some stratagems, we've already mentioned the assault launcher stratagem, so we don't need to go through that one again. But as mentioned, you only need 1 of these in the unit, so I would probably swap out 2 of them in a min unit of 3 for the Hurricane Bolters and keep 1 assault launcher if you really needed it. Or just remove all 3 completely, because this does obviously cost 1 command point to use it. You can then use Auspex Scan. Then in the reinforcement step of your opponent's movement phase, you select an infantry unit that is not within engagement range of enemy models. The unit can shoot as if it was your shooting phase at models that have come in from reserves that are 12 inches away. So that could be a lot of flamer shots or a lot of Hurricane Bolter shots or a lot of melter shots. You don't even have to actually use this to make it effective, because your opponent will know you've got this up your sleeve. They're likely going to not want a deep strike anywhere near your Centurions. Next you've got Uncompromising Fire. 2 command points done in your shooting phase. If you're performing an action, you can still do the action and shoot without it failing. Could be quite critical, especially for your secondaries. As for some chapter synergy, so you've got the White Scars ability first of all, which is Lightning Assault. You can fall back and recharge if you wanted to, so you're kind of ensuring that you're going to be fighting first. Also in their Assault Doctrine, it's going to be a +1 to the damage on the charge, which makes you want to fall back and recharge as well. So especially with those siege drills, making them damage 4. If you took them in the Space Wolves faction, they're going to get a +1 to hit on the charge, and they can also heroically intervene. They've got the Cunning of the Wolf stratagem so that they can gain outflank, so you don't have to spend the additional CP in order to get them into reserves, so it's a cheaper way of doing it. And in their Assault Doctrine, any 6s to hit in melee score more hits. Going on to Black Templars, they can reroll the charge rolls and the advanced rolls, which can be pretty good for these guys, especially if they want to use their siege drills as mentioned. They get 5+3 on a pain save against mortal wounds, quite a nice little bonus to have. Then in the Assault Doctrine, any 6s to hit will auto wound, so you're just skipping the wound roll completely there. It is strength 10, but you will be dropping a few dice. They've got the Devout Push stratagem for the extra pile in, and then the Emperor's Will stratagem to advance and charge. All of those being pretty good. Looking at the Dark Angels chapter, you get +1 to hit if they remain stationary, especially with the Melters and the Hurricane Bolters, that could be really good. Then they've got their Fire Discipline Super Doctrine to fire into combat, but it will be at Ballistic Skill 5. But with those Flamers, you don't need a Ballistic Skill, it's going to auto hit. So firing into combat, quite a rare ability in the game, especially when you're not a vehicle or a monster. Imperial Fist, remove light cover. With the Omniscope, you already do that. But if you did combat squad them, the unit that doesn't have the Sergeant could still have the ability to remove the light cover. 6s with their Hurricane Bolters are going to score more hits, which could be really good because you've got a lot of attacks. You've got a lot of shots coming from the Hurricane Bolters, so more chance of getting more 6s. And they've got the Shield of the Unwavering for a +1 to their armor save and +1 to their attacks if they're nearby objectives. Blood Angels having the +1 to charge, +1 to advance, and a +1 to wound on the charge with their Red Thirst. And in their Assault Doctrine, it's going to be a +1 attack on the charge. Ultramarines can fall back and shoot, and they can reroll 1s with the Sons of Guilliman stratagem. Again, very effective on the amount of DACA these guys have. Then they've got Squad Doctrines, which is the stratagem to change the doctrine. So they're going to be 1 command point in that one. Salamanders get to reroll a single wound roll per unit per phase. Then they've got -1 AP weapons become 0 AP weapons if they're targeted. Now in the Tactical Doctrine, they get a +1 to wound with the Flamers and Melters, and there's plenty of other stratagems within their supplement for the Melters and Flamers in particular. Raven Guard get to hide in the shadows with Shadow Masters, so they're going to gain light cover, potentially dense cover as well. They can use the Strike from the Shadow stratagem to be able to deep strike, pretty big one to be honest because they don't have deep strike, they're not Terminators. Or they can use the Infiltrator stratagem for a pre-game move. Then finally Death Watch, they get to reroll all sorts of things against Xenos armies or any other battlefield roles that you select pre-game. They've got the Mission Tactic to switch the doctrines up. They've got the Teleportarium stratagem again for the deep strike. And then you can give the Hurricane Bolters special issue ammunition. As for some unit synergy, you can bring a Librarian with these guys, cast the Veil of Time so that they're going to get to reroll their charge rolls and their advance rolls. And if they're already within a combat, they can be fighting first. Null Zone if you want to remove any invuln saves around the Psyker. Then Psychic Fortress if you want to add an invulnerable save to the unit, or anybody actually within 6 inches. If you want to take an Apothecary, they can use their combat restoratives to restore D3 lost wounds on a model. That can be done once per turn. Or they can use an Arthesium, which is an aura, for any units within 3 inches of the Apothecary to gain a 6+ Fino pain save. Then of course everybody's favourite, Combat Revival, for 1 command point, which is the Stratagem, where you can bring a model back for a unit. It's got to be an infantry model or a biker model, not the ATV of course, so you can bring back your very expensive Centurions every turn. And you can be doing this for free if he's a Chief Apothecary as well, if you take the Warlord trait. So on to the summary. Starting with the good, they're a very tanky unit. Plenty of wounds, a good armor save. They're good in both melee and at range, so they can be doing 2 roles at once. They've got the Assault Launcher ability, which interacts with the Stratagem. Can be useful at certain times. And just the fact that they've got extra weapon options with the Melters or the Flamers, and then the Hurricane Bolters of course, which makes them good with certain chapters in particular. As for the bad, they're quite expensive at 55 points a model. They've got no Deep Strike without the specific chapters. They don't have the core keyword. They're not Primera, so they can't use Transhuman Physiology. They're slow at a 5-inch movement. They can't have access to the Bolter discipline, so they've got to get within half range to use the Bolters at rapid fire. And of course, they don't come with an invuln save. So as for the rating, I'm going to be giving the Centurion Assault Squad a Planet 40k rating of 3 out of 5 stars. So guys, put your rating below. What do you think these guys should be getting? How do you use them? What combos do you use? Also remember that a random comment will get shouted out in each and every video. And feel free to check out our troops area in the members area of our YouTube page if you want to help the channel out. Thank you all for watching, and as always, I'll see you next time.